And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
We're back here on Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson. Today we're going to get into discussing the news of former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers being told they are parting ways with him. Deebo Samuel, where is he going to end up? Kellen Moore, new Saints head coach, as well as final upset thoughts about the outcome of the Super Bowl. Sean, before we get there, can you share with our listeners a quick word from our friends over at BetOnline?
You mean Bleed Online? Because that's what
they took all your money.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
Actually, some of my bets hit. Some of the bets that I gave out on Sportsgeek this week, a decent bit of them hit, but I parlayed too many of them.
I was very eager for the Super Bowl, as I hope a lot of you were, in using BetOnline, which is the world's most trusting betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Now we get to go back into the great unknown and figure out what is going to be our hobby betting, our hobby wagering throughout the
I will tell you, golf is fun. Golf is a fun hobby bet to go with.
Golf rules. Betting on golf is a blast. But does it get that fix of a Wednesday night, Tuesday night, like Thursday night football?
Watching games on a Wednesday. Oh, you're saying
like that Thursday night football, a little bit of action on Thursday. Perfect. Lines you up for the weekend. Then you can just become an animal again. But I'm starting to try to figure out what I want that midweek betting to be, but BetOnline has it all for me. College basketball, NBA. I guess watch out for the Lakers and fat Luka Doncic. It's going to be a fun one.
Did you catch any of that last night, by the way?
I caught some of it. He looked.
I saw his first bucket.
I saw one Euro step that looked like he was in 0.5 speed. And I said, oh, all right, maybe this is either going to be a great success or a crashing out disaster. Every three-pointer, every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Quick reminder for the live shows. At the end of every single live show, we are going to be doing the Hackbag, which is our mailbag segment. You can call in and leave a voicemail, 201-834-4308. Leave the stupidest thought that you can come up with, your worst beat of the week for betting, something in your personal life that's bothering you. You need to vent. You need our thoughts and our reactions. 201-834-4308, or you can tweet at us at HackCityPod to share your questions. Sean, the Super Bowl ended up being very unentertaining. It was a blowout. I was grumpy as shit watching that game, being a Eagles hater, being a Saquon Barkley hater now, being a former New York Giant. Oh, I hate Saquon Barkley. Extra before he won the Super Bowl.
The worm has turned is what you're saying.
What do you mean the worm is turned? He bailed on us. You think I'm not going to root against it? By the way, before we get into actually the final post-mortem of the game, screw anyone who tries to play the bit of, well, that's not fair to root against him. He put so much into his time with the New York Giants.
He gave
Fine.
it all.
Go to Miami. Go to Miami. Go to Houston. You don't go to the rival team and then help them win a damn Super Bowl.
Help be the backbone of the Super Bowl trophy.
What's the reason why they won it? So much so, if anyone wants to argue against that, they won and Jalen Hurts played his best game because they did everything possible to stop him. He had 57 yards.
Yeah.
Brain dead people tell you he didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. They were so desperate to stop him, they made Jalen Hurts look like an MVP candidate. I'm not in on Saquon. I'm out on Saquon.
I'm way back in. I completely flipped. He's a role model,
What do you
man.
mean?
I think he's really good for the league. I think he's great for the sport. I think kids look up to him, and they should. I think that he is just king of the running back.
You're just trying to piss me
I'm not.
off.
Look, king of the running back is always going to get love from me. I love running backs. You have to love running backs. There's been great discourse about Saquon on Twitter and social media, and then talk about his salary, and running backs are so, slighted by money versus their contracts versus like an NBA 15th person on the bench. Yeah, but there's
a lot
glory.
different. I don't know.
There's glory in the running back position. It's one of the last true gladiator positions in the sport. And I think we as a society, if we're not going to pay them anything but clamshells and bags of chips, then we need.
Buddy made $10 million. Buddy made $10 million. Let's not act like he's getting.
He had over 2,000 yards, Joe. He should have made 20. I'll give you $10 million for every 1,000 yards you get. He should get 20.
He should have gotten that Le'Veon Bell contract that he was seeking but never got. He should have gotten wide receiver type money before his impact. But that doesn't mean I still don't hate him for what he did.
I think you have many reasons to have many feelings about Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
First one should be anger at your own team.
Yeah.
It should be.
Well, I've already gotten that out. I've already gotten the anger out. That's
okay.
already been given out on this show. So he gets the job done. They win the Super Bowl. I now need to react negatively to this.
Yeah. Hey, right side. Tyrone Tracy. You got him. It's going to be a great year. You got the next Saquon.
You're an ass.
He had 1,000 yards.
You're a bad friend. Genuine bad friend. The main talking point with this, because I don't want to give the Eagles any air.
Mm-hmm.
They won the Super Bowl. It was a defensive masterclass. Sure. Like, they deserve the recognition and the accomplishment that they had. They completely manhandled that Chiefs offensive line. But now we're in this spot where people are starting to call into question Patrick Mahomes' legacy, because that was one of the worst Super Bowl performances of all time. He gets completely overwhelmed. He looked lost in the first half. And if it wasn't for a bunch of garbage time yards at the end of the game to try and get back into it, his stat line would have been atrocious. Do you think his legacy is really impacted, though? The guy has 2 Super Bowls. He's 3
Super Bowls.
3 Super Bowls. He's 3-2 in Super Bowls. Are we really going to sit here and say that he is not still in that upper category of quarterbacks in the history of the sport?
He is. He is still the best quarterback in the game, but the legacy is impacted, Joe, because the whole nation, 132 million people tuned in and saw Patrick Mahomes' worst game as a pro, or at least his worst game since 2021 versus the Buccaneers. But that team more loaded. That team still had more juice than this Chiefs team. Shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more Kelsey's fault because he was such a game breaker as a zone defeater and a man-on-man mismatch, and he could actually go vertical. But seeing that dud from Mahomes doesn't help him one iota. Having Tom Brady in the booth narrating,
Patrick Mahomes, very clearly happy.
Yes.
Quietly happy.
You could hear the grin inching wider throughout the game. Every sack he took. And then that one-on-one interview, one of my buddies, just Gambler, was like, hey, I think that I'm on Philly. I think this interview with Brady pregame is going to shake Mahomes and get in his head. And you know what? I don't think it was all that.
That is a real better
yes
mentality there to come up with that.
I have to give credit to, Jalen Carter and that defensive line, and Jalen Carter, who just keeps on punching guys in the face mask and is never going to get flagged for it. Somehow I'm starting to.
Hey, man, he knows it's his style. It's his game.
It's growing on me. Legacy definitely impacted for Mahomes because now he has elevated Jalen Hurts to, actual relevant quarterback positioning, and his only victories are against Jalen Hurts once, against Jimmy Garoppolo, and against Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl. And Jalen now has another one.
Oh, are you wait? So you're trying to now?
I've just seen this circulating.
You're trying to now imply that he's gone up against some circus level quarterbacks, and that his Super Bowl wins are handouts? Is that what you're trying to imply here?
He lost to Brady. He lost to Hurts the second time he faced him. Didn't meet the moment there. And I know you have a lot of positive things to say about Brock Purdy. So that one we might
I don't think that Brock Purdy's very, very good. And I know, understandably, Jimmy Garoppolo has not done anything since his departure from the 49ers at that time.
Now, the 49ers games, those teams weren't built from the quarterback out. They were just really good teams that smashed through the NFC and made it there with mediocre quarterback
it's
play.
The same thing that with this Eagles team that he just lost to was all the teams that he faced were loaded rosters.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to concede that Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the sport right now. I think that there has been my problem after this Super Bowl, Sean, is that there is hyperbole on both ends of the spectrum. We're on the side of talking about Patrick Mahomes, who won 3 Super Bowls this early into his career.
Yeah.
Has won MVPs, has put together some ridiculous passing seasons. Statistically, he's been unreal for what he's done this quickly. And we're already talking as if he wasn't on a track and a path and doesn't have time to win multiple more Super Bowls and to finish his career with a very highly decorated one. One that could be better than Tom Brady, that could be better than Joe Montana. We're acting like that is something that can't happen, that this one loss tarnishes everything. And on the flip side, we're now suddenly acting like Jalen Hurts is some all-time great. Yeah. I've been listening to ESPN, and I listen to it every single morning when I'm working, and sometimes I really regret it because that Get Up show, they say some dumb shit on that show. And there has been some framing to make it seem like Jalen Hurts is some all-time great right now. Like he's done something so unachievable. He was on a great team and he played a great game. He is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. He needs to do more before he starts to enter into a different category.
Yeah, he's still Jalen Hurts. Why didn't you have Fox on? They were doing Westminster Dog Show cover. It's at MSG, like right now. Like
Why aren't we there?
The championship is tonight. Championship.
We could be interviewing
the best in show is tonight. Pardon me.
We could have been interviewing the dogs. What the shit? Why are you now just telling us this?
I almost texted you, but like, oh, he's probably
that would have been one of the best man on the street videos ever.
I don't even
just like panning down to a dog.
Honestly, I think they sell tickets. I've never seen a wide shot to the fans in the stand. It's all just.
I don't want to see. We probably could have gotten press passes. I doubt that there is really highly recognized media or just a lot of people clamoring to get press passes for that.
I was shocked to see that it was like in New York. I'm like, this is big enough for New York? I guess so. The back to Mahomes. Yeah. He's on the Brady arc though. Brady started 3-2 in Super Bowls.
There was a wide gap between the last of the first third and then the first of the second third.
It's 3 years. It was a 3-year gap.
Yeah.
It came in a different fashion. But they both started 3-2. And the reason people are going to be harsh on Mahomes is because this was three-peat territory. This was a new path that the NFL has not gone down, where we could have a guy. It's not the same as LeBron breaking the scoring record. It's not somebody going and beating Jerry West's assist record. It's not. But it is still a legacy moment where if you were the first quarterback on a team to three-peat, that is immediate dominance. That's immediate top 3 all time. Patrick Mahomes could have probably retired in 3 years and he would have been heralded as a top 3 quarterback of all time had he three-peat. Now he's going to have to scrap for the 4th, maybe get 5, but he's probably going to end in the top 3. I probably have him over Rodgers right now personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, in the all-time history of the sport.
Yeah.
I still believe that the only person he's competing with right now is Tom Brady. For what he has done, Tom Brady was not this quickly, like immediately in the top conversation of quarterbacks. He won multiple Super Bowls at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
But we forget that Tom Brady, to start his time with the Patriots because of how late he was drafted, he was just the guy on the team with the really good defense. It took some time before he was really entering into that consistent MVP conversation. He aged like a fine wine. People didn't give Tom Brady the right respect that he had deserved until later on. Mahomes has already blown through that. He's already been described as this generational, highly impactful player. But you're right. He does need to now bounce back from this. And I don't know what that bounce back is. You need to wash away the stink.
Yeah.
Do you think that this was more embarrassing of a loss than Brady losing with that insane undefeated team to the Giants that were relatively mediocre during the regular season?
This is more embarrassing of a loss. I think Eli was a better quarterback in that Super Bowl than Jalen Hurts was. And
that's not where I thought you were going with that.
I also think that
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
They're also built pretty still defensive line. That's how they got to Brady. That's how whenever Brady lost the Super Bowl, it was because the defensive line was touching them, whether it was to the Giants, whether it was to the Eagles, and that's how it happened. Also, Brady aging like fine wine. I don't think so. I think he has aged like an old McDonald's cheeseburger from the 90s, where it looks the same as the 90s, but you could tell it's a little weird.
He got better towards the end of his career.
I'm talking.
He also looks
wise.
He looks great.
Oh, he looks like a child.
The way that he
put the fat back in your face, Tom.
The
please.
way that he looked at the beginning of his career compared to now, he is more bangable than he's ever been.
What?
You think that he doesn't look like he's an
see
Adonis?
That young, bulky stud quarterback.
He's
in the
an
early
Adonis
2000s.
right now.
Oh my god!
You're just
long hair Brady. Give me a break.
Looked
This
awful.
Tom Brady is a bit of a not in that ballpark. He doesn't look like a football player.
Sean, we've got a last update for head coaching moves. Kellen Moore is Ryan didn't Ryan didn't like the end of that conversation.
Hey, Ryan, he would. Yeah, Joe would.
Kellen Moore was announced as the next Saints head coach, the Eagles offensive coordinator. He will be taking over to lead what has been a messy franchise over the past couple of years. This past year, the Eagles were 14-3. They finished 7th in average points scored per game and offensive expected points added per play. They were extremely explosive. We saw the impact that Saquon Barkley had. How much does Kellen Moore really have in that? I'm sure some. But Jalen Hurts looked really comfortable. Like Jalen Hurts looked like a completely different player down the stretch and during the playoffs. And a lot of that should be attributed to what Kellen Moore did as an offensive coordinator. Now, there's a funny layer to this. The last time that Kellen Moore and Derek Carr, they faced off against one another when they were both playing, and Derek Carr was at Fresno State, Kellen Moore beat Derek Carr 57-7 back in 2011. So if Derek Carr gets cut or shipped off, I'm bringing this up. Kellen Moore doesn't think he's got any juice.
You lost to me. Yeah.
You got smoked by me. I don't trust your ass. What do you think of the hire, though?
It's a good hire. I think the Kellen Moore head coach hire has been about 5 years in the making. Everyone thought he was a wonderkind, and he's just kept on climbing. If he had a down year on offense, moved to a different team and made them improve, and now he's getting a shot with a genuinely, I'm going to take the bias off for a moment here, the bias hat off, a bad team in the Saints when I'm talking with their roster. They've got some young offensive linemen that are beastly and that are good. The skill positions need help. Chris Olave Jr. is by himself. Alvin Kamara starting to show a little bit of his age, but I think maybe Moore can get a little bit creative. Defense, a lot of old greats on that defense. But first word there, old. They're not keeping up anymore. And they don't have their pit bull on the defense in Marshawn Lattimore. And so that hurts them. I am excited for everyone to get a full, healthy dose of Taysom Hill, though. I think Kellen Moore and
that man is going to be playing
bias
in
hat
UFL.
Back on. That man, Taysom Hill, is going to have 15 touchdowns minimum from the 2-yard line and in.
He's getting the tush push. He's going to be in the UFL.
No,
before you even can react to it.
They're going to quarterback sneak Taysom Hill to death. They're moving the tush push down south. I have to expect that he will. You have like the only other quarterback in the league that may be as strong and I guess gifted with his legs in that facet of a running back position as Jalen Hurts.
There's two angles that I'm looking at this. I'm just moving past your insane Taysom Hill theory. There's two sides to look at this. The side of getting Kellen Moore and if it was good for the Saints and if this was good for Kellen Moore. For the Saints, this is a phenomenal hire.
Yeah.
You were able to coerce this guy who had been discussed as a future head coach for a long time, been considered to be a brilliant mind as a play caller. He has been around as an offensive coordinator for 6 seasons with 3 different teams, and every single time he has stepped in, the offense has improved. Now, there has been varying degrees of results. The Chargers year wasn't great. The way that he was able to get a lot out of those Cowboys years where there was a lot of different dudes shuffling in at quarterback with so many different injuries to Dak Prescott, the results that were produced were extremely recognizable. I don't know if this ends up being his final destination as a head coach.
No, I don't think so.
Because this Saints team is it's awful. It's awful. This roster has nothing that I can turn to that I can get excited about. More importantly, their cap situation is a shit show because it was incredibly mismanaged. the most important part about this, if you want Kellen Moore to be your long-term coach for a decade or more, which is hard to come by in the sport, you got to be patient. And the reason why it's hard to come by guys sticking around that long is because a lot of franchises are stupid and impatient. Now, that was one of the things that when you read into this and this possibly coming to fruition before the news broke today, that patience was a part of this decision-making. Because I think Kellen Moore's smart enough to realize this is a shit show.
Yeah.
This is going to take a couple of years. Saints fans, you got to be ready for this team to be awful. I don't want to hear anyone trying to paint this as they're going to go out there and they're going to compete and they're going to win the NFC South because there's really no clear best team in the NFC South. If we go and get a new quarterback or if we can get some more out of Derek Carr and he has a great season, no. Get rid of Derek Carr, burn this thing to the ground. Just tear it down to the studs. Your team being as shit as they are right now is because you have been through this cycle. Seriously, they have been through this cycle of consistently just being at or a little bit below 500. You got to be bad in order to get better.
Yeah.
From a fan of a team in the Giants that were middling, were such shit because they didn't understand that they just needed to be shit in order to improve. You need to understand and look at yourself in the mirror and realize I'm ugly and I'm fat and I need to go on a diet. It's the only way that you get better. But just to address like this roster.
Do you hear me wake up every morning?
I do. Talise Fuaga, Chris Olave, who on defense? Paulson Adebo, Kool-Aid's a good player. I don't see anything else on this roster that like really excites me. I don't see anything that him taking over that I would feel juiced up about. Maybe you think he can get something out of Spencer Rattler. He didn't really look inspiring. What is the selling point for me to believe that this thing is going to turn into something?
Yeah, they all right, stick with me here. The Saints are definitely getting Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is getting Kellen less with this move. Less talent, Kellen less talent.
I'm not giving you a laugh.
That's fine. I didn't expect
free laughs.
One.
That's as awful as that was.
Mm-hmm. Held on.
That's
to
a show ender.
I held on to that for 5 minutes.
I should have known. The look on your face was not like, oh, he's got a good thought to chime in with. No, it was like I've been toiling with this dumbass comment that I need to throw in there. What were you?
You're right though. Like how many more tackles can you squeeze out of DeMario Davis? He has been a nightmare for me having to watch, and because he's such a good middle linebacker. But we know that it all ends eventually, and it's starting to fully take shape. Send Derek Carr to Cleveland. He could be a good quarterback for the Browns. Not great, but good, better than what they've been used to. Pair him back up with Jameis. That'll be fun. They can't stay away from each other. Goodness gracious. I love this. I think the Saints being a little more competitive makes me a better football fan because I get to hate them more and root against them more. And if they're good, like I never had a bigger fandom than when I was rooting against Drew Brees. And if he can give me that again back into my life, happy with the deal, happy with the move. Don't walk out onto the turf with an awful rolling suitcase like your predecessor did, Kellen Moore. Just please have a backpack or a handbag. Not a rolling suitcase on the turf.
We need to give him like a big Goyard bag. He needs to be
anything but that.
He needs to have some juice. Yeah, the rolling backpack.
Dennis
you can't
Allen,
be doing that. No,
shoebox-sized rolling backpack. That maybe it looked like a golf shoe bag.
Just looked like the weirdest kid in your high school.
Can't have
who
it.
Would sprint through the
You
hallways
had those kids with the rolling bags.
Every school had those kids, but that's what Dennis Allen looked like.
We had some of those kids. We had this one kid named Adam Hazard. Who?
Damn, you're just doxing my man like that.
I love Adam Hazard. I hope he knows that he had like one of these.
I mean, he got a last name like that. You're kind of bound to be a bit of a hazard. But
he had one of these.
I can't believe you're doxing this dude like this.
He had one of these brilliant minds, but he was one of the always wearing shorts type of guys. Like there was.
I was that guy in high school.
He didn't take a day off.
I was that guy in high school.
I think I met him in 7th grade.
Okay.
In my graduating class. Never saw him in slacks.
And again, I reiterate that I was that guy in high school.
That's
and middle school. All the way through. It's not that cold out. I used to be that guy. I don't know how I was that guy. There's nothing wrong with being that guy.
What do you mean there's nothing wrong?
I didn't have the rolling backpack to go with it, though.
No, I gotcha. I think he abandoned the rolling backpack once he got to high school, but I'll always remember that. They're just kind of quirky, kind of smart. always in shorts.
What's he doing right now?
He's either
We're really doxing him.
Yeah,
What's his address?
He's either an engineer or living at home. I don't know. I haven't kept up with him that well.
Okay. Maybe I should look him up so we can get an update. Deebo Samuel requested a trade away from the 49ers for the second time. He has been one of the most complaining receivers in the NFL, so this is not surprising. 806 scrimmage yards this past year, 4 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk went down early with an injury. His 49ers team was extremely underwhelming this year. Frankly, Deebo's been really underwhelming since that amazing season that he had where he had 1,400 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
The minute that he started demanding that he's not going to be getting all these carries out of the backfield, I feel like his career started to go downhill. And now he thinks that he is going to be able to command a new location for him to play in. And is that one of those locations with the Washington Commanders? God, that was better than the shit that you threw out there.
It was better than my Kellen Moore joke. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
I feel like he's going to be a Commander, though. That feels like the most clear because he's the first receiver to really throw himself out there and say, I want a new team in the mix with Terry McLaurin. I think he works.
Yeah, I think that Cliff Kingsbury would love to have Deebo Samuel and get creative with him. Also, Deebo Samuel made that statement about not wanting to carry the rock. The next year, he was still carrying the rock out of the backfield. This year,
Just
obviously,
a
not
little
as
bit
much.
less.
But now he's, trying to be podcaster Deebo and gain weight Deebo, which I love. Love a fat football player. Always going to stand up.
Fat receivers
beside them. Fat receiver, different can of worms. I like him going to Pittsburgh this offseason.
That's where you go to die, man. Don't put that out there for him. So you're all out on the Commanders?
I think the Commanders are probably the favorite. I think they should be buyers at anybody that has made a Pro Bowl before during this offseason. But
you're telling me you trust Arthur. I think that the important part of this is that Deebo Samuel needs to go with a team with a creative, well-intentioned offensive coordinator. You think that Arthur Smith fits that description?
Not exactly, but for the position,
chipping defensive ends every snap.
Here's what if you weigh as much as a fullback,
you're playing fullback. They're just going to line them up in the eye.
But here's why. Arthur Smith completely rejuvenated Cordarrelle Patterson and made him into this joker position where he was running the ball, catching the ball.
This is
blocking,
fair.
And
fair.
He was strictly a kick returner, wide receiver sometimes in his career. And he turned him into a 1,000-yard from scrimmage guy. Cordarrelle Patterson, he had 10 touchdowns that year. Crazy. Deebo Samuel, no one's going to say, oh, Deebo Samuel, Cordarrelle Patterson, who's more talented? Oh, I don't know. It's Deebo. So you put him in Pittsburgh, let Deebo become, I guess, a focal point of the offense, even in his not advanced age, but he's getting up there. And we could tell he's getting a little bit slower, but he's still a football player. He's still thick. He's still strong. I think that Arthur Smith would have a field day with him, and the Deebo Samuel usage rate would be through the roof. So I could get excited about it. I think Pittsburgh fans could get excited about him. Wear 19 again. Wear a number in the teens. No more Deebo in 1, please. Thank you.
Too big for that now.
Too big for
Very
that.
Stretched out number 1.
Can't. Yeah, it's just. Oh, who's rectangle? Oh, that's Deebo Samuel. Yes.
So per bet online, Commanders plus 300 are the best odds. Raiders are Steelers are a little further down at plus 800. This is one that I pitched earlier in a video I did for the Sports Geek. The worst odds. The absolute worst odds, and I'm actually shocked by this because this is the one that literally makes the most sense. Which team do you think that is?
Oh.
If you had to guess.
Makes the Chiefs?
No.
Make the most sense?
The Dolphins at plus 7,500.
Oh, they can use Deebo?
His best season was when Mike McDaniel was the 49ers offensive coordinator.
This boy's cooking.
Tyreek Hill voiced frustration at the very end of the season. We don't know. It sounded like he was maybe trying to walk it back a little bit, but if he wants out, why don't we just do a 1-to-1 swap? Why don't we just swap, not a 1-to-1? You probably need to give a little bit of capital. The Dolphins maybe give up like a third or something. Why don't we incorporate in the trade Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel? Everybody's happy. I don't know what that would literally solve both sides' problems. And also, Deebo would be stepping into a situation with an OC that is going to use him guaranteed correct.
I like that. forgot that he was with McDaniel. Yeah, he had a great year. McDaniel and him had a great chemistry, it felt like. I don't think Tyreek Hill would like San Francisco, where I'm obviously diving a little into the minutia here. He needs a quarterback with a big arm. Brock Purdy, not that.
What was Tua?
Yes, mistake. Tua was a mistake. Paying Tua that much money, mistake.
But imagine what you could do with Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Tyreek Hill.
Aged Kittle, Juwan Johnson. It still would be a very dynamic offense. I am not, by the way, I'm not holding out hope for McCaffrey.
You think he's done?
The calf stuff, it's both calves. It feels a little Todd Gurley-ish, where you're going to like these super intricate doctors and the global specialists to get your legs looked at, and they're still not fully cleared.
Right. My other part with that, and it's a take that I will always maintain. If you're too busy looks maxing, I can't. Like, that usually means the downfall's coming. Like, Jalen Hurts had a great Super Bowl, but if he's like, he's got like a really good jaw. If he's looking too good over at the start of next season, and there's going to be an improvement, he's going to be looking really good. I'm going to start calling for the Eagles to get knocked out of the first round. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
No, because McCaffrey fits that description, man. He had that great year 2 years ago, and then all you see is him and his new wife just looks freaking phenomenal, and then now he's banged up all the time.
It's like my problem with the McCaffrey looks maxing is when he got his GQ cover shoot, right? He should.
Yeah.
Like that's a guy that should be on the cover of GQ. Why is he holding the vinyls? Why is he barefooted? I'm Zen Christian McCaffrey.
He's from San Fran, that's why.
Give him the football pants, no jersey or shirt, shoulder pads, make that the cover. He's a football player. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is this deep guy. His dad was a football player. His brothers play football. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is sitting with a candle lit at night looking at astrology signs, which you're trying to paint him as such. Not happening. Out on the looks maxing. Give me the ugliest team. That's who I'm going to root for this year.
That would be a really interesting
That's you, Cleveland.
experiment to figure out of like who's paying too much attention to their physical appearance. Like Mahomes, when he was fat and had the dad bod and he was as good as he was, there's a reason why he was as good as he was.
I actually don't think. Well, Mahomes, we got the doughiest version Mahomes coming into camp this year. He was definitely partying in Texas, which good for him. You're Patrick Mahomes. I'd come into that training camp if I was Patrick Mahomes, bigger than just bigger than all hell. But I think this year comes into training camp a little slimmer. I just lost the Super Bowl. I'm not coming off a Super Bowl win. I can't really show up with the doughy midsection.
Aaron Rodgers is done with the New York Jets. It broke on Sunday, on Super Bowl Sunday, that he was informed by the team that they're likely going to be parting ways. Part of what came out today, though, Diana Rossini had reported on that there was a conversation between him and the Jets when Aaron Glenn was hired, that he flew to New Jersey to talk to them. Part of the conversation was that there's no more of this, that you're above the team, that you have to be a full participant in training camp, that there's no more of you going on Pat McAfee and doing those appearances. That probably was the end of that conversation, and now we're going to see him end up elsewhere because there's only one person who loves Aaron Rodgers the most in this world, and that is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't even really know what the best fit for him is here. Is he just going to be a Steeler? Is that the best that we can come up with? The Browns don't make any sense because their financial situation's an S show, and if they get rid of Myles Garrett, what are we doing with that going forward? I think that Rodgers is smart enough to realize that that is not a situation that is going to be immediately successful. What other team is desperate enough to need a quarterback that they're like really going to give him a shot outside of Pittsburgh that has been rumored to want to move on from Russell Wilson?
I think that the noise around the Tennessee Titans is surging for Aaron Rodgers. I think it could make sense if you feel like you either don't want Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward with that number one pick. Maybe you draft Travis Hunter. Maybe you find some other talented player that you like and trade back and just have it suffer another year. Rodgers, not going to be great, but if you can bring Devontae Adams with him also, we're looking at it's still not good team, but a better offense than what they had this year by a million.
It's so stupid, but it's the one that does like really make the most sense.
If Will Levis was any better, Aaron Rodgers retires. But since the bar was set so low in Nashville, and it has to make sense. Like, how could he not improve this team? He would. He at least wouldn't make the mistakes that Will Levis made, or at least not look as bad making those mistakes. I think that it's got to be Tennessee. And also, maybe he starts, maybe he's awful, and then you have Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward step in and not have to be a day one starter, let them get their feet under them a little bit.
That's a fair point that you could draft Cam Ward, but man, I would not want Cam Ward learning from Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I think
personality-wise,
no. Gameplay-wise, maybe not a better quarterback to learn from if I'm Cam Ward and I want to throw that ball all over the place.
They're just such different personalities as we've seen from Cam Ward's TikToks that we will not talk about. But Mark brings up a really good point. If history repeats itself, Rodgers will do better on his third team than his second, mentioning Brett Favre. He's obviously not going to the Vikings. That's been the recurring joke of like, hey, whoa, what if he ended up with Minnesota? That would be hilarious, and that would be perfect. But if we're trying to recreate the Brett Favre path, what team fits that? Because when he went to the Vikings, they had a good roster. They had Adrian Peterson at the time. They had a pretty good defense, and they were competitive enough to be in contention for a Super Bowl. They just needed Favre to get over the hump. And I do remember those Jets Favre years. Those were awful. Plus, he was a total piece of shit off the field for everything that he did.
He was messing around. He was he was not focused on football.
But to the worst possible extent, he was very inappropriate with the way that he was conducting himself. Aaron Rodgers was not the same way, but he was an incredible distraction. What would be the redemption final arc for him? Like, what actual team feels like, again, I keep coming back to Pittsburgh. You go to Pittsburgh, you go play for Mike Tomlin, who knew how to speak properly to Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career when he was just a big dumpy oaf. And he got a ton out of him. Some of the last few years with Ben Roethlisberger, he had a couple really nice years before that last one when he looked awful.
Yes.
I think that there's a redeemable relationship that can happen between the two of them, and we could be scratching our heads at the end of the season going, how the hell did the Steelers get to the AFC Championship game? And why do we have to talk positively about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, there's a couple options here. He could go back home, play for San Francisco. It would take a lot. It would take San Francisco to not pay Purdy, which they're going to have to figure out if they want to. And if you don't want to and you want a bridge quarterback, why not bring the kid home? You knew he wanted to go to you 20 years ago. That's a possibility for me. I think if Miami nutted up and said, hey, Tua, you're not making it work. Here's an offense. I know they're not.
Until McDaniel's out, they're not going to do that.
God, they should. That'd be great. If Seattle maybe decide, maybe Vegas, go ahead, drop by Vegas for a year, Aaron, just have fun, play light, throw to Jacoby Myers, throw to Brock Bowers. He could get Brock Bowers 1,000 yards.
But like, is that
like, I think it's just more realistic than if I was going to typecast him going to Seattle, which would be awesome.
Seattle
That'd
actually would be
sick.
Interesting. I kind of like the thought of that.
They're just still holding on.
A lot of these teams are holding on to quarterbacks who have just done enough.
Make the jump. Dive in. You'll be better for it than getting just 9 wins this year.
Sean, as we cover FCS football on this channel as well, we're not going to be doing any FCS football coverage mostly during the offseason. We'll probably do a little bit touch and go here and there. But in our previews, in our recaps, often we referenced a school, North American University.
Mm-hmm.
And it was announced today that they're ending their football program. And now if you're wondering, and we have to give them a farewell, a nice goodbye, we're bidding them adieu, that they're no longer going to be a football program. They were always really fun that we would look at Fat Stats, the segment in which we would share who had the craziest stat line. And you could almost always find which FCS program played North American University, there was one guy who put up a crazy stat line. The Stallions posted an 8-32 overall record and a 2-14 mark in the Sooner Athletic Conference. I'm really sad because it sounds like the most create a university situation possible. You know, it'd be the real way someone should do like a college football. The college football video game should try and do a dynasty mode with them. That would be a good bit.
Just resuscitate them.
I turned this program around.
I'm gonna do
a parking lot stadium.
I don't care about North American University, but
for
the new North American University fans, I'll fight for you real quick. I'll be the North American University fan here for about a minute. All right. How dare you, Charlie Baker? We were climbing. How dare you? This big
Wait, why does
monolith
Charlie Baker have
that
to do
you're
anything
trying
with
to-
it?
You came in, and when you came in, we had a football program. After you, we did it.
Wait, okay. That's some conspiracy level shit because they're not even an NCAA sanctioned school. They're an NAIA program. So they have no affiliation with the NCAA. But I mean, if you're
Charlie Baker didn't roll in here and start shaking things
if
up,
you're pretending to be a North American alumni, you probably have this level of intelligence that you're inferring these things.
we the Stallions were rising. We were going to start making some big plays, going up to D3 maybe. Couple years, maybe D2, and then we're taking control of the FCS in about 20 years. Pissed. Can't believe this. Yeah, they were just getting bludgeoned. That's all I had. That's all the spitfire I have for North American University.
What was the other one that I got hooked on this year? Was it like Sycamore or something like that?
It was the Bishop Sycamore of
No,
college.
it wasn't Sycamore. It was was it Oakland University or something?
Yeah, it was in Oak. It was
like a fourth version of Oakland or something along those lines.
Yeah,
I forget. I wish I remember because that was like a recurring bit.
there was a running back that was a good FCS running back that ended up there.
No.
Yeah, it was like
No.
I'm certain of it.
No.
Why am I blanking on this?
Now we're off the. No, you're wrong. It had to have been a school with a similar name because there's no way that.
We did the segments. You said, wow, how is he here? He might have been like an old North Dakota running back.
You might be mixing it up with
Who's Imo? Could it have been?
No, I don't know if that was it. All right, we've got our last couple segments here. So every single live show, we're going to be live going forward every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I think there's a chance that we eventually ramp up and maybe do a couple more shows, but we're going to have a recurring segment every single week. We're introducing this one. The other ones were ones that we did in our previous live shows. Hell yeah of the week, get after the week, and then what was the other one that we had? Wait, let me really quickly. I should have remembered this. I had it written
Hack
down.
of the week?
Oh, it was Hack of the Week. Hack of the Week is on the Sunday show. Every Tuesday, we're going to do Down Bad Dudes, and we want our listeners who share with us a lot of disturbing personal details through text messages, through DMs. We want our listeners to share with us personal stories of where they have screwed up in their dating lives.
Yeah.
Sean does it all the time, so we've got a lot to go off of here. The first one that we're going with is something that he shared with me last night. Sean shared with me last night very disturbing action that he took. I was giving him shit saying, like, hey, you going to do anything for Valentine's Day? You going to last second hit up somebody on Hinge and just go on the really lame, desperate date with a girl that really badly just doesn't want to be alone on Valentine's Day?
Right.
And you told me that you actually have done this before. What, you hit up a girl on Valentine's Day and then she absolutely hates you for it?
Yeah, I was a little inebriated at the beach. Happens. You look yourself in the mirror, tell me that's never happened to you.
Yeah, obviously.
And maybe the date and time had escaped me. And I texted a girl that I had previous relations with. And
some of you were hooking up with. You need to be so careful about it.
And I hadn't maybe talked to her in about 5 months.
Oh, no, you didn't tell me this part.
And the first thing back is like, hey, I want to see you. And it was like Valentine's Day. And I didn't know it was Valentine's Day. And the conversation went it was a nice conversation. It was a positive one.
What was the conversation?
It was just a little flirting and talk about, we going to take me on a date. We going to do this, see a movie. And
wait, had you not taken her on a date prior to this?
We were supposed to go on a date.
So y'all were just hooking up, but there were no dates.
Yes, correct.
Oh my God.
And Valentine's Day, again, I was unaware it was Valentine's Day. Sitting here like, oh, back in the fold. Maybe when I get back to Northern Virginia, I got something going for me. Got something cooking. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, cool. Light texting. And then like a week later, nothing. And then I say, hey, what's up? She says, did you realize you texted me on Valentine's Day? Why'd you text me on Valentine's Day?
Maybe you're not in the wrong
Started
here.
being a
maybe you're not in the wrong here. Okay,
started
continue.
being some barrages of this Valentine's Day theme kept popping up. It wasn't just like one time it was brought up, multiple times.
She was giving you shit just because you texted her on Valentine's Day?
I think she wanted me to say, oh, I texted you on Valentine's Day because I want you I wanted to be your girlfriend. Why else would you text me on Valentine's Day? I think she saw it as a pretty rude thing eventually for me to have done that and seen that as manipulative and not me being irresponsible.
There's so much mental gymnastics going. You're not in the wrong. I thought you were in the wrong in this. No, you're not. You're not in the wrong here. You hit her up. You didn't know the date, and you had made an intention to make plans. That's on her for the next day to get all worked up and upset because of when you happened to text her.
Here's where I'll cut her some slack.
Okay.
It was Valentine's Day. Who texts somebody out of the blue on Valentine's Day? It's just for that.
I don't think that is a sin. I would, if you're a normal person and you actually have some sense about yourself, if somebody texted, if I was single at the time and somebody I had been on and off seeing and it was a long stretch, hit me up, my only implication would have been, oh, they're missing me because it's Valentine's Day and their friends are out doing things and they want to maybe give this another go, and we had a good time together. Hey, let's see where this goes. Not what a piece of shit for reminding me that I'm alone on Valentine's Day.
Girls think differently, though. Girls think Valentine's Day text means boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, not, oh, he wants some boy. All right, it's different.
But you didn't text her. You didn't text her, hey, come over. That's not what you did.
No, I did not.
Because you weren't anywhere near her.
Yes, that would have actually, I think that would have been more appropriate.
Would you have flown her out?
Hey, it would have actually been more appropriate had I texted her, hey, come through. What are you doing? Come through.
No, I would have argued that would have been the missed move. That would have been the inappropriate move. If you would just on Valentine's Day, I would assume this probably was on a Tuesday. This was only a couple years ago.
I think it was a midweek Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Then that would have been a dickhead thing to just be like, hey, no one wanted to come through. So do you want to be the person who comes through?
Well, I didn't hear the end of it. And I got calls and I got voicemails and Snapchat rants. And all of
the effort that was put into her.
I don't do the Valentine's Day bit anymore. Can't do it.
Okay. But all the effort that she put into bitching at you after the fact and giving you a hard time after the fact. Could have been saved for actually following up and going on a date with you. And then you guys could have just, I don't think you would have ended up dating her, but why waste the energy on that? Why waste the energy on getting upset over this when you could have just hung out?
I don't
think you're in the wrong here.
I think it's because we did hang out again. And
you did hang out again after this.
Yeah. I had to take a pause.
You're not bad at explaining this.
But look,
when was the next time you hung out with her after the text message and then the meltdown on her end?
Probably a month, and then it was about 5 more months of no talking, and the Valentine's Day thing kept coming back up because
she kept bringing it back up.
Yeah, because time,
I wonder why you didn't want to date her.
Yeah,
I wonder why you didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
Whenever I got,
you have a type.
Whenever I got a little drunk and horny, and I started texting her, she's like, "Oh, is this another Valentine's Day text?" I'm like, "Oh no, what is
this?" Actually kind of a good bit on her part.
Yeah,
that's
I'm like,
oh yeah,
I know I'm getting late, and it just kept getting brought up.
Again, you have a type.
Yeah. Like that type.
Did you load into what? Never mind. I'm not going to say. Did you load in the voicemail, or
we'll do voicemail Thursday?
Okay. All right. So 2 questions that we have here from our good listeners. Again, every single week we are going to answer questions at the end of the show. We're going to do 1 or 2 at the end of every single show. If you want to call in and leave us a voicemail on whatever it is, if you want to leave us a voicemail for Down Bad Dudes, you can do that as well. Everything is anonymous. 201-834-4308. We don't air anyone out. No one's getting doxxed like Sean did earlier in the show for some random individual who happened to have a rolling. Well, and you keep doxing him. Chester asks, though, oh, that was loud. If you could remove one city from America, what would it be? Is Philly the only answer? Orlando. Ooh. I would get rid of Orlando. I have had only negative experiences in Orlando. I've been out to clubs. I have been at restaurants. I have been in some really shitty McDonald's. I've been on their awful highways. I've been in their downtowns. I've been to their awful hotels. I have been in a range of their amusement parks. It attracts some of the dumbest people that are going on a really lazy, easy vacation or are obsessed with Disney. And I don't like being around all of that. Ironically, in about 4 weeks, I'm going to be in Orlando because I'm going golfing with some buddies.
Oh, nice.
So I have to suffer through it again.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
The Orlando's not a bad take. I think that's solid. I enjoyed Orlando as a young Sean Anderson going to Disney with my family.
Not surprising.
Haven't gone back since. Don't need to go back since. I would first eliminate before a city. I'd eliminate O'Hare Airport, which I consider its
you don't like O'Hare?
worst airport experience
I think it's
of my
pretty efficient.
life.
I think it's pretty efficient.
Awful.
We're not talking about
Hideous.
airports.
Well, I can't eliminate all of Chicago, but that gave me a heinous taste in my mouth.
Full city that you've been to that you hate.
Oh, I'd eliminate Richmond, Virginia. That is what I would
Really?
eliminate.
You that down on Richmond, Virginia?
Awful. Richmond stinks. Virginia guy, yes. Through and through, always defend by state in stupid bar conversations. Richmond is just awful. The bar scene, bad, lame. It's like Millennial City, and it's all breweries and $17 cheeseburger, no fries, bar stool, no back. Really, really unfortunate. It's dangerous. There's a good amount of crime in Richmond. It's just.
I don't even know if I've ever been to Richmond before.
Yeah, you'll probably just drive through it and be like, "Oh, that's Richmond."
Is that where VCU is?
Yeah. A bunch of idiot VCU students running around. It's
even funnier considering one of your friends that lives near us is from Richmond, and then two, you have multiple friends who went to VCU.
Yeah, The VCU campus is just spread throughout Richmond, and that is not like a great. People will go there and say, "Oh, walkable city." No, you don't. It's like walkable streets. Maybe it's just a really. It's unfortunate, and it doesn't have a good vibe. It's nothing that I would want to represent.
I don't have total disdain for Philly as a city just because I've been once when I was a kid, and that's it.
I would. My old answer would have been Los Angeles, but I enjoyed Los Angeles. I did when I went there for 3 days, but I still enjoyed it.
As much as I occasionally gripe about LA, and I didn't like living there, it's one of those places that is fun to visit, and if you know where to go, it is fun, and it's beautiful weather. And if you had to stay, if I got a call tomorrow that was like, "Hey, you're getting offered a job you can't turn down. It's an amazing opportunity, and you got to move to LA," I would probably willingly move back to LA. It's not a city I would avoid. Orlando, if somebody called me and said, "Hey, I got this great job opportunity for you in Orlando," I would say there is no shot. You need to find me a way out of this for this to be remote or like a once a week type of thing. Another one actually is a hot take. I don't like Vegas.
Oh,
you haven't been to Vegas?
I haven't.
I was underwhelmed. Underwhelmed is not even the right description. I thought that it was a monstrosity. I thought it was gross. I thought it was dirty. It felt like I was at a shopping mall, and you don't go outside the entire time. Everything was so commercial and weird. You go from one hotel and then you walk down to the casino part. You walk through a casino into another hotel that's got a restaurant that you're trying to go to, then through another hotel to go to a different restaurant that you're trying to go to, back through another casino. And then tomorrow you're going to go get drinks with somebody at a bar that's in a hotel that's also connected to everything. It's just, It's weird. It's such a weird, I'm trying to think the best way to describe.
Well, Vegas is dying also. The Super Bowl numbers, everyone used to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl if they weren't going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They're not anymore because people can just bet online, bet on their phones. What's
right.
the point of me going and spending a bunch of money? My secondary hot take city, I don't like Nashville. I
have not been to Nashville.
I don't like the vibe Nashville.
When was the last time you were in Nashville?
I've never been to Nashville. I don't like
No, stop.
I don't like the vibe it
stop,
presents.
Hard stop.
What do you mean hard stop?
You can't pick a city that you haven't been to.
You like Morgan Wallen? I don't. You like Jelly Roll?
That's it? That you just don't like the people that are from there?
I don't like the vibe of Nashville.
You can't pick a city that you haven't been to. You just can't.
I detest the new country. I'm wearing a mullet.
Bad
Ironically,
take.
I got this mustache. Ironically, I got stick and poke tattoos, but I'm a hard country singer no. Go screw. Can't stand the aesthetic. Can't stand what Nashville has been harboring. Fastest growing city in America. I get it. But what they've been pumping out does absolutely zippo for me.
I have an aspiration to go to Nashville. Well, why don't we make it a weekend? Let's go to Nashville, see if we can change your opinion.
You know what?
A corporate getaway for Hack City.
It would be unfair of me to have a full stance on it without going. I would entertain that idea. I'm coming in with some negative pretense.
I bet it's pretty cheap to get there and to stay there for a weekend if we went in July. I bet it would be pretty cheap. If we went in June, quick weekend.
Hot Tennessee weekend.
All right, maybe we go like in May.
Can I wear jean shorts?
Of course you can wear jean shorts.
All right, maybe I'm in.
As long as they don't fully cover your ass.
Oh, whoa, they never would. So, yeah, that would work.
Last question from Jamie Williams. Did anyone help their draft stock in the college football playoff? more than Tyler Warren. My only counter to that is I would say that Tyler Warren already had great draft stock. Like his whole entire season was filled with amazing moments. He really put himself on the scene. Ryan's a really big fan of his. We did a mock draft on the A to Z Film Room channel, and he projected him going to the Jets at 7, which is pretty bullish. He says he's his number 1 tight end. He said that he doesn't think there's many people in the class that are better than him. I'm not fully there. I'm a Colston Loveland guy. I'm a Loveland lover. And then I'm Tyler Warren. He's a great player. I just don't know who else. Will Howard had probably improved their draft stock.
I was going to say Will Howard jokingly, and I took it back because he actually did. It's hard to say it because he's still so young. Jeremiah Smith made himself a top 5 pick throughout the college football, but he did throughout the season. But at that big stage, whatever year he decides to declare, he's going to be a top 5 pick. And he could take the next 2 years off and just train if he wanted to. And whenever he's eligible, he could go. Absolute stud from Ohio State. And he, I don't know, maybe top 3 if he does half of what he did the next 2 years.
Will Howard and then maybe Jack Sawyer, but Jack Sawyer's still probably not going to go very high. Appreciate this quick comment from Mark, who just chimes in with "get rid of Cincinnati." I've never been to Cincinnati. I'd love to know Mark's disdain for Cincinnati. Yeah. Have you been to Cincinnati?
I haven't. I've all the Ohio cities kind of blend into me. I wouldn't. They're blue collar cities. They love their sports teams. They have awful sports teams, and they keep on pouring love into them. So I kind of respect Cincinnati. I kind of respect Cleveland. Cleveland, the baseball team went through a name change. The fans still stuck around. It's just something that I don't think I'm wiping Ohio cities off the map. If we were picking a state, Ohio's first 5 to go.
Oh yeah,
top 5. Get out of here.
I don't even know, is Ohio even real? That's a fair. Have you been to Ohio?
I've been to hell. Same thing. I've spent time at Bowling Green. It was fun.
I forgot you went
Bowling Green had one of the most fun college bars I've ever been to, and the best breakfast diner I've ever eaten at. And I will.
Well, we haven't been to any diners in New Jersey. This is considered the diner capital of the world.
Well, it's going up against Kermit's in Bowling Green, Ohio, which literally 5 out of 5s across the board. It was the best breakfast sausage, hash browns, portion size. Yeah, it was. Oh God, now
you're all worked up.
Yeah, I gotta settle down.
That's going to be it from us, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we're live every single Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Call in with your questions, thoughts, anything for the Hackbag at the end of every single show, 201-834-4308. We'll talk to you folks later. Enjoy the rest of your week.